Well, Sharon, I will say it's your job to make me wildly famous. I will say that. No, the last thing, I am wildly famous. Asked Notre Dame and the Little Sisters of the Poor and a couple of others, as a matter of fact. So, anyway, it's wonderful to be with all of you this evening. Thank you very much, and thanks, Sharon, for being here. Chad, congratulations to you. Give him a round of applause again, would you please? And this is a wonderful program. You know, it was launched 12 years ago. It was the first online integrated marketing communication graduate program in the world. Let me just say that again, in the world. It now enrolls more than 450 students, and all of you are very successful in what you do, and so you're making us even more successful in coming and joining us. This conference, this particular one, is in its 5th year, apparently, from what I just learned, and I'm glad because it allows us to welcome all of you onto this campus. Now, those of you who this is your first time in West Virginia or at West Virginia University, interesting place, one of this nation's really unique institutions. 33,000 students, 20,000 faculty and staff, a major American institution by any stretch of the imagination. I call it the Goldilocks University because it's just the right size. When I was the president of Ohio State, it was 65,000 students, so I felt like I was running a city. When I was the president of Brown, 7,000 students, I felt like an antelope in a telephone booth. So the Goldilocks University, and it's a very special place. It represents in so many ways the hopes and dreams of the 1.8 million West Virginians that we serve, but also all of the people who find themselves flying our WV around the world, and for that we are very grateful. So you are now part of that great golden blue thread, and so I hope you'll continue to take pride in this institution as you do in your own and your own work. So you're probably wondering why you're listening to a university president right now instead of a communications guru, right? Well, no fear, because Melanie Hannock is also speaking tonight, and she is the vice president for marketing at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. I'm proud, by the way, and I was just listening to this again, that the IMC program partners with that very fine institution on the capstone course. And of course I'm delighted to welcome you, Melanie. Melanie, by the way, is a mother of 3-month-old twins, so it's great to have her here. We're relieving her from duty this evening, and for that she's grateful, but she'll have a full-time responsibility tomorrow. So while I'm not in the marketing business, I am, or in the communications is not in my title. It should be, because I've been a university president for 35 years, half my life, as a matter of fact. So believe me, marketing and communications are a big part of my job, and they are becoming bigger and more complicated all the time. You know, if you think about it, I've got a couple of notes here that I love, but the communication part of being a university president is very interesting. I've been going around the state and speaking about the fact that what we have as a goal is to move this university from excellence to eminence. And so I've been speaking to new students who are coming, or those who are taking a look at coming, and I'm talking about the role of the institution moving from excellence to eminence. And I received this note from a student the other day. Dear President Key, I'm a senior in high school, and I'm trying to decide between Penn State and West Virginia University for college. Now I know, when I heard you speak recently, I was very impressed with your message about moving West Virginia University from excellence to impotence. Bradley is doing very well at Penn State right now, I can tell you that right now. And then speaking about communications, to try this one. So, dear Dr. Gee, this is literally a true one that came in. Dear Dr. Gee, thank you so much for the flyers you sent on occasion of my business expansion. As a West Virginia University alumnus, I appreciate the thought. However, I must tell you that the card accompanying the flyer said, "Rest in peace." There must have been some mistake, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Well, of course, we were horrified, our crack team. I sent out this note to him. Dear George, oh my, this means that somewhere there's a funeral taking place today with flyers and notes saying, "Congratulations on your new location." So that's a communication issue, folks. I just want you to know. Now this one I like is also a communication issue. So as a university president, I chaired the NCAA commission for a long period of time, and I have been very much on record as being opposed to a college playoff. And so we had the playoff this year. And of course, Ohio State, my former institution, won, so I was doubly battered about that. But so I received this note very late one night. This was just when the playoffs were coming into in January, and it says, "Dear Stupid, for doing your part in ruining college football for legions of fans, you suck." And here's my response. "Dear Brian, I've just received this email supposedly from you. Someone must have your email account, which you should check." And then this is what came back from Brian. "Dear President Gee," all of a sudden you notice I'm no longer stupid. "Dear President Gee, I had no idea you actually read your emails. Please, please, please do not withhold my diploma." He's one of my students. No longer. So anyway, then this one I loved. "Dear President Gee, I'm planning a spring break trip with my best friends from the University of Cincinnati. And we have enlisted 6 female cheerleaders to join us for the whole week in sunny Miami. But when we went to book flights, you can imagine my disappointment to find out that our colleges have conflicting spring break schedules. I'm writing to ask if you could push West Virginia University spring break back a week. You are the only one with the power to help make a 19-year-old man's dream come true of a half dozen girls and a remote beach house 1,200 miles away." But this is the line I love. "Of course, if you help out, you're more than welcome to join us." I had a hell of a good time in Miami. But anyway, and then try communicating, by the way, to younger kids. So one of the things that I do is I love to go out and read to kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade. It's kind of fun and it's refreshing. And so I went to visit elementary schools very recently. And this one came from a young lady, Maria Foster. She was in the 2nd grade at North Elementary. "Dear President Gee, thank you for reading to us. It is always a pleasure to have someone read to you besides the mean librarian. We all enjoyed the book. You did a great job showing the pictures and speaking loudly." So that one was very helpful. And these 3 came from Jamie Shent's class at Suncrest Elementary. "Mr. Gordon, thank you for coming to visit. It was fun because you're almost the same size as us." "Dear Principal Gee," I love this one. "Dear Principal Gee, it was fun to meet you. Thank you. Me and my friend Betsy want to know if you buy all of your ties from McDonald's or just the red ones." But this one is the classic. I must say, out of all of the things that I've ever received, this one is the classic. "Dear Mr. Gee, thanks for giving us your time. I thought it was exciting and fun. I learned that looks could be deceiving." Hate that kid. What can I say? Of course, it reminds me, I'm here 3 hours, literally, I'm here 3 hours, 18 months ago or so when I joined the campus, and it was cold. I'm walking across the campus, and here are these 2 young ladies, obviously freshmen, chatty Cathys, they're talking like this and moving along, and I looked at them, and one of them recognized me. I thought, this is wonderful, I've been here 3 hours, one of them recognizes me, but decided to be a little cool, so I just kind of walked on and nodded at them, they nodded back at me, and then I got on about 10 yards, and I heard one of them say, "Kathy," she said, "wasn't that Orville Redenbacher?" Then, of course, I was running through the O'Hare Airport, literally running through the O'Hare Airport. I was running late, and this woman grabs me, and she says, "I want your autograph." I thought, well, I'll be delayed, but so I grabbed out a pen, wrote my autograph, E. Gordon Gee. She says, "Gordon Gee," she said, "who in hell's sake are you? I thought you were Lou Holtz." So anyway, there we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all about communication. So, but before I get started, let me just say that I'm hopeful, and Melanie, I'm not going to infringe on your time. So if I have a chance to take a few questions, I will. If not, we'll move right on to you and we'll see what we're doing. So when I first became a university president in West Virginia University in 1980, we certainly did not have social media or the internet to worry about. I'm not even certain if we had a fax machine in the administration building. CNN was only a year old, and a true 24-hour news cycle was still far away. Communicating the university's message usually meant turning to society's reliable and traditional gatekeepers, newspapers, radios, and of course television. Back then, if you made an unpopular decision, you would get strongly worded letters from irate alumni or read impassioned criticism on a newspaper's opinion pages. Today, as soon as you make any decision, you get battered on Twitter, where messages like "President Gee, you suck," which we just heard about, seems to hold equal weight as more well-reasoned discourse. But it's the job of communications and of communicators is different today. It is also much more complicated. It is also, in a strange way, much simpler also. Back then, organizations wielded mostly the media release, and by the way, the media release, an inefficient missile that often strayed far off course from the audience it was supposed to target. Today, communicators can target messages with laser-like accuracy, and you do. And you can focus on very specialized audiences, and they can reach those audiences directly without risking dilution or distortion by media gatekeepers. That is why more and more organizations are realizing that social media is an invaluable tool for forging connections. Social media, as you know, is very personal, and it's a very wonderful communications tool. It works especially well for connecting audiences with an organization's personal face, its president or its CEO. In 2013, the PR firm Weber Shandwick surveyed executives about having a social CEO. 80% of them said that it helped get company news and information out effectively. 78% said a social CEO strengthened their company's reputation. 76% said that having a CEO out front on social media made a company seem much more innovative. And 75% said that it strengthened relationships between the company, its employees, and between the company and external audiences. Pretty powerful. Another survey by Brandfog showed that leaders who use social media to communicate their core mission and brand values inspire more trust than those who do not. They also help to raise brand awareness and position their organizations as industry leaders, important for all of us in this room. Benefits like these show why leaders who are engaged in social media are participating more, and why that participation is growing, and why Weber Shandwick expects it to grow an additional 50% by the year 2018. Now, by any measure, if you haven't gotten that figured out yet, I am a highly social leader. I rise before dawn, race around campus all day at meetings and events, and keep going late into the night, dropping in on student parties. In fact, my favorite thing, this is one of the things I love about social media, I love the fact that I can now find out where the students are and what they're doing. I go on Facebook. I have someone in my office to go on Facebook. I love to go to 21st birthday parties. I just show up. I get a couple of freshmen, drag them along with me, and, want to get to know them, take them out to a late dinner. I say, okay, we're going to go out. And so, but I love to tell the story this spring, so I show up to, and as you know, students, by the way, are nocturnal animals, if you haven't figured this out. Their life starts at 11 o'clock, when I'm supposed to be in bed, and so I go and take a power nap. But anyway, so 12:30 at night, I have these two freshmen with me. I knock on the door. It's Brittany's 21st birthday party. Brittany opens up the door. Someone forgot to say on the Facebook that it was a toga party. She screamed and I screamed. And she slammed the door, and I got it running through. She said, "Oh my hell, it's the university president. People are running out the back of the door. They're throwing stuff out the windows, I said, no, I'm here just for a good time. You get some moments. My staff members might occasionally wish they worked for a less social leader, I might say, especially since every moment that I'm roaming the streets is another moment when I can offend someone. But connecting with people is one of my greatest passions, and it should be. And since I returned to this great university, my social media presence has really skyrocketed. Here are a few numbers my team came up with. Since returning to Morgantown, I have gained more than 30,000 followers on Twitter and close to 4,000 friends on Facebook. I hope they're friends. I've also established a presence on Instagram and have almost 9,000 followers, more than any other college president. All told, I have about 69,000 followers on Twitter. I have made more than 65 million impressions on Twitter since joining the university for a second time back in December of 2013. And according to what my staff tells me, that means my tweets potentially appeared on that many Twitter timelines. Scary, scary, scary. Can you believe this elderly gentleman has had more than 40,000 retweets and 11,000 mentions in the last year? Thank you for starting that. I was going to have to start it myself. So that's a lot of grandfatherly advice. All told, I have more than 112,000 followers and friends, which means that and our stadium holds about 65,000, 70,000. So I'd fill up our stadium twice with all of those folks. Now, I'd like to say that I did this all on my own, but I didn't, obviously. That is because of the fact that I have a wonderful group of people that I work with. You just met my Vice President for University Relations, our Vice President, Sharon Martin, who has done a wonderful job for us. Sharon came to Morgantown from Purdue University in September of 2013. Remember September of 2013. She was hired 2 weeks later. Jim Clements, who was the president, announced he was going to go to Clemson. So then she found out that Gordon Gee was taking over as president. News that might have sent a more anxiety-prone communicator scurrying back to Indiana. Instead, Sharon calmly set up an executive communications team to help keep me on message and to help me connect with the people who need to hear that message, whether it be students or faculty or staff, alumni, donors, lawmakers, the media, or thought leaders. Of course, to stay on message, you need to have a clear message. And I do, and this is something I very strongly believe in. And in fact, the reason I'm reaching into my pocket is the fact that I carry my message with me on a small card like this. And this is a very complex institution. I've run complex institutions for almost all of my life. And one of the things that I've discovered about complex universities is the fact that we in university life tend to make them even more complex instead of making them simple. And so what I have here is I believe that if I cannot run a university and make it effectively function by having my goals and expectations and aspirations fit on this side of a card, then I'm not doing my job. So having a message, of course, is only half the battle, maybe less than half, because the heavy lifting is the work that all of you do, amplifying your organization's messages and targeting them to the proper audiences. That work really does require an integrated approach. On my executive communications team are media relations and marketing professionals, a social media strategists, speechwriters, and web content scribe. They meet weekly with each other. They talk about precisely what we're going to be doing. They keep themselves focused. They're very focused indeed, thanks to Sharon. And Sharon, of course, has then the unalloyed pleasure of having to talk with me every day and give me my marching orders. My team members make certain that I speak with a consistent voice across all platforms. They know which platforms reach which audiences. For example, they know that Twitter reaches college graduates and people under 50 especially well. Instagram is big with the student age population. YouTube reaches more people in the 18 to 34 age group than any single television network. Think about that. And my team is constantly looking for new vehicles for me to get my messages out. I was the first university president to jump on the Snapchat for a takeover. Snapchat, I'll work on that one for a while. And we did it in about 30 minutes, and about 50 people came on board, which was great. And it went so well that I took it over again for a while. It is one of the fastest growing social networks and the one that trends the youngest, by the way. Perfect for talking to students, and perfect for talking to students who are thinking about joining the university or just here in a very, very short period of time. My team is also the creative force behind Gmail. Gmail, G-E-E-mail, thank you. Our popular video message for the campus community. About once a month, we release a new Gmail that showcases me and all of my quirky, lovable glory as I deliver an important or a serious message at the same time. May was all about commencement in this institution, as in most institutions. So my video was a mock practice run for my speech in which I interspersed some humor and real advice for our graduates. In a social environment that bombards us, ladies and gentlemen, with information, videos like these reverberate with the power of a human voice. Think about it. The power of a human voice cutting through all this kind of social noise. One expert defines social noise, by the way, as a vast overload of data that drowns out the underlying message or meaning. How do we create social successes out of social noise? Well, since I have all of you captured here this evening and we're talking about the web, I decided to answer that question with a BuzzFeed-style list. So here goes. 5 ways to replace social noise with real engagement. First is humor. First is humor. Everyone enjoys a good laugh, and social media abounds with humor. Much of it is just noise, however, unless you find a surly-looking cat's take on life meaningful. I've always been a big believer in taking your work seriously, but not taking yourself too seriously. Occasionally, my sense of humor has gotten me into trouble, as some of you know, but more often it has helped build affection. It makes me feel good. I love to make fun of myself. because it gives me a chance to connect with people in a number of different ways. Our email videos include lots of humor. I often deliver them David Letterman top 10 style. Now he's retiring. I'm going to call it Gordon Gee style. Twitter is also a great vehicle for sharing humor because a tweet that makes someone smile will often be favorited and then retweeted. Because Twitter is so popular with college students, my team and I emphasize humor that is relevant to them, to the audience, to the 33,000 students that we have here. For example, this winter, the university shut down for 2 days due to snow and ice. That, by the way, is a very rare occasion. I think in my 35 years, I've only shut a university down for snow or ice about 4 or 5 times. Now, this, of course, is a rare occurrence and is an exciting one for our students, some of whom start their social media pleadings for snow days when the temperature drops below 50. We were able to have some fun with these tweets, such as, and here's one, "Hey, WVU, do you want to build a snowman?" Got a lot of response to that. Or, "I really just wanted to have a snow day so I could stay in and watch a House of Cards all day." So talking and acting like a college student, as in the Netflix tweet, is a great way to build rapport with that audience. There's some other college-age relatable humor in these posts. For example, again, this is one I really loved. This one was sent out. I tried to get the DMV to let me use one of my selfies for my West Virginia license today. They wouldn't let me. Or this one, can you believe it? Can you believe fall is already halfway over? It's almost time to break out my Uggs. Humor can also help you take advantage of a big event. ESPN's College Day came here to campus, and I was all over the coverage with tweets like, here it goes, in case you get confused today, with a photo of me holding a sign that said, "Not Lou Holtz." Come on, get with it. And of course, I know what. Of course, and then this one got a lot of response. The tweet was, "Of course, I know what bay means," with the photo of me holding a sign pronouncing that our quarterback Clinton Trickett's hair is bay. Do you know what bay is? Beyond anything else, get with it again. You're young, okay? The lesson here is that if you can find a way to communicate to the masses in a funny and creative way, chances improve that people will see you, and then people will begin to notice your organization as well. That is the inspiration behind a lot of things we do with social media. So the second way to replace noise is with inspiration. Number 2, inspiration is another thing people seek on the internet. And when we tell stories about the life-changing work our organizations do, social media consumers will read and share them. For example, West Virginia University speech professor Carolyn Atkins works with student athletes to prepare them to deliver motivational remarks to public school students. They talk about overcoming obstacles such as adjusting to life in a new country or bouncing back from bad decisions made in their teenage years. The stories are always powerful. I've heard them frequently over the last 18 months, and I was able to give these students a shout out to all of my Twitter followers. I also embarked on a tour of all 55 counties in this state. Actually, the truth of the matter is, I forgot there were 55 counties, and I said I'm going to visit every county in the state, and then I asked how many there were, and I nearly left again. But anyway, I went to all 55 counties last summer. I'll go to at least half of them this summer. And then half next summer. I'm going to do this every year. It was another great opportunity to lift up the work of our university and what it does in the areas of healthcare, 4-H, and youth development, and so much more. We are a land-grant university. We're not only a major research university, but we're a land-grant institution, so we carry 2 portfolios. My main mission, of course, during this time was to let the 1.8 million residents of West Virginia know in their hearts and their minds that West Virginia University is their institution. Again, if you visit my website, you'll see the power of my team's communication efforts in blogs, photo galleries, videos, and news stories. My favorite experience, by the way, on this was the first county I visited was McDowell County. That's the way that they say it in the southern part of the state. Coal country. And as you know, coal is, of course, in some real distress. And wonderful part of the world, beautiful people. But we were in Welch, West Virginia, and as I was leaving, we had been talking about what the university could do, and I asked the mayor and the city council what we could do, and our 4-H agent, our extension faculty member there, and he said, without hesitation, he said, bring your marching band. Now, West Virginia University is blessed to have one of the great marching bands in this country. In fact, we were just designated to be the lead band for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is like winning the Oscar. But there are 400 of them. Have you ever thought of taking 10 buses? Taking 10 buses through the mountains of West Virginia with all of these drums and flugelhorns and all this other kind of paraphernalia and taking it down. But and so I thought, we can't do this. And then all of a sudden I realized we had to do it. So we did. And I was there. Bradshaw, West Virginia. Little small community. Every citizen in that county, I believe, was there. And this great marching band comes out. It's called the Pride of West Virginia. And I tell you, it was a prideful moment. Tears flowed. And that is one of the ways to communicate, is to communicate through stories and through the visible presence of who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Number 3, great photos. I love photos. Photos convey emotion as words rarely can. That is why visuals are so important in social media, inspiring a whole platform such as Instagram and Tumblr and Pinterest. Just think how long we all spent staring at a certain color shifting dress. That dress was definitely blue and black, though. And I have a secret weapon for attracting likes on Facebook, who's Euroskew female and a bit older than other social networks, and that is my adorable 2.5-year-old identical twin granddaughters. Eve and Elizabeth are wonderful little girls, and they are also helping me reach out to alumni and donors and faculty and parents and staff. In a few years, of course, they'll figure out what I'm doing and start charging me. If your organization's leaders does not happen to have adorable twin granddaughters, that puts you at a disadvantage. Consider then perhaps getting your leader to have a puppy. There is one particular type of photo, ubiquitous on social media, for which I'm especially well known, and that is the selfie. I love them. Some people think it is much maligned, but researchers have questioned whether the selfie's rise heralds a new age of narcissism. But for a leader, there is nothing narcissistic about cultivating a selfie habit, in my view. Selfies show that I am out and about, taking time for personal contact with the people I serve and the people I love, from students and prospective students to award-winning faculty, distinguished alumni, and prominent visitors to campus. Earlier this week, I saw an article claiming Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson set a world record by posing for 105 selfies in 3 minutes at a film premiere. Well, clearly the Guinness Book editors didn't see Gordon the Bowtie Gee in my action at commencement this year, did they? At their best, selfies show that a leader is fun and approachable. When I toured West Virginia's 55 counties last summer, I shook many hands, gave many hugs, and appeared in many selfies. All advanced my tour's purpose, connecting with people, which I think is so incredibly important. Of course, leaders should keep their social media in tune with their authentic personalities and not try to adopt a false persona. I learned the importance of being myself early in my career. A brand new president, 36 years of age. I was not doing very well. I should not have been a university president. My daughter's 38. I wouldn't let her run anything. But anyway, she's a wonderful young lady, actually, and she runs public health in the state of Louisiana. But saying all of that, I was just young. I just didn't know what I was doing, and besides that, and not denying, I tried to actually be a little bit more dignified. But I generally wear Argyle socks and obviously bow ties and khaki pants, a variety of other things. And so about 3 months into my presidency, these two older guys came in. I thought they were older. They were probably about 40. Anyway, they came in. One was the dean of the library, and the other was the chair of the Department of English. You can imagine what these guys looked like. They looked like they had to screw their shoes on and off. And anyway, so they came in and they sat down. They said, "Mr. President, you're not doing very well. In fact, you're failing." Thanks. Why do you think I'm doing that? And they said, "Well, you don't look and you don't act and you don't talk like a university president." I thought about that for a minute, and all of a sudden I realized that my idea of a university president was the same as theirs. Tall, gray-haired, gravelly voice, distinguished looking, and of course I'm very disappointed every morning when I look in the mirror now. So I said, "Well, what do I have to do?" And they said, "Well, you got to be more like a university president." So I decided to do away with my bow ties. I wore long ties. I did away with my Argyle socks. I stopped going out at night, visiting with the students, doing all these other kinds of things. And two things happened. One is the fact that I was still failing, and the second thing is the fact that I was miserable. I was just miserable. So one day I woke up and said, listen, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail having fun. So here it is tonight, 35 years later, and I'm still here and those guys are dead. Be who you are, and make certain that the person that you are representing is who he or she is, not who you try to make them be. If you work for leaders who have the misfortune of looking like university presidents, do not make the opposite mistake and try to convert them into comedians. But being social can help them appear less stuffy, I think. When you are the face of an organization, why not get your face out there with the faces of people you serve? Just remember one simple but inviolable rule about professional selfies. No duck face. Number 4, bragging. We all know that bragging is rife on social media. What would fill our Facebook feeds if people stopped bragging about their vacations, their fitness routines, and their adorable twin granddaughters? The good news, when you are communicating about your organization, you are allowed to brag, and you do not have to pretend to be humble. One particular email is a good example. It introduced our new creative brand campaign, Mountaineers Go First, and I'm certain that Sharon has showed you some of that today. And it is great. It really is terrific. And what we did is we bragged about what our universities had done, what our university had done first. So a number of those things. More subtly, it also reinforced the values that our campaign aims to celebrate, including innovation and determination. I have observed, by the way, that West Virginians are just too darn humble. I pointed out that having been president of half the universities in this country, I can say this, and that is the fact that I have been president of institutions that are not nearly as good as they think they are, and I'm president of an institution that is not that is much better than it thinks it is. That is the job of all of you, which is to make institutions and their realities come together. Luckily for them, I'm here to do their bragging for them, and that's what I'm going to do. And finally, number 5, sharing the love. Sharing the love. At its best, social media enhances a sense of community and reinforces the ideas that people are part of something larger than themselves. It can even allow you to bring people together in the real world and invite them to take part in special events. We all know that on social media, you can find lots of invitations to everything from your cousin's hastily arranged 4th wedding to your sister's 10,000 Candy Crush around. But some invitations cut through the usual noise. On St. Patrick's Day this year, my communications team came up with a special event to engage students. I think they were inspired by the gold coin I carry with me every day. It has a West Virginia on it, then it has my goals on it. But the fact that I resemble a leprechaun might have come into play also, I would say. Replicas of my gold coin were hidden in spots near our student union, and students had a good time trying to find them. Of course, we promoted the treasure hunt on Twitter. The gold coin students found were not just meaningless trinkets, they had something meaningful to them, which of course was important. As useful as humor can be, social media also allows leaders to deliver serious messages in personal and direct ways. When our Mountaineers beat Baylor, in a great football game, I might add, a few of our students engaged in destructive behavior that reflected badly on the university. It was not pretty, I will tell you that. And these are 2 tweets we put out after the game. 1, disappointed in some of our student body today. While a small minority, the actions of a few hurt the reputation of our entire university. And the second one I put out, I want all students to know this behavior is unacceptable. We can and will work together to prevent this situation from happening again. And guess what? The students took it seriously. They created almost immediately something they call Respectful Mountaineer. They listened. Now, if I would have put out a memo on Monday and said, get with it, they would have yawned. And first of all, they don't read anything anymore in those ways, but they immediately read, and they reacted positively. They recaptured their own university by us communicating with them in that direct way. So this was the first communication I made to any audience on this issue. It was important, by the way, as I said, to use social media first, even before we put out an official statement, because that was where people were talking. They were talking on the social media. It was going back and forth. You can watch it just almost instantaneously, as you know. So the answer is that we use social media now to help us control, help us to understand, help us develop, help us to carry our message in so many different ways. Finally, social media is a great way to let people know how you feel about them. Remember the love, how you feel about them. Because individuals engage with social media in a very personal way, you can connect with them on a very personal level. Amid all of the humor of my email videos, I try to get across one basic message to our students: that I love them, that I want the best for them, that they mean a great deal in my life personally, that I feel blessed to be with them and to be part of their lives. So no matter where we work or what title we hold, that is the message we should all be communicating to the people we serve. A message of love is an important message, and that is one of the great advantages of social media. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have used, I think, a little bit more of my time than I should have, but it's a real honor to be here with you this evening, and thank you very much. You're now all members of the Mountaineer family. Have a great evening. Thank you.